Slow out of the blocks.
That's all right.
Gosh, you'd never win an Olympic medal, would you?
No, we did. We Councillor Webster quite rightly raised that, and we did. And maybe there might be, now that all the dust is settled on the Olympics, it might be good to perhaps name those at the next governing body. So we move on to public input, and I'd like to welcome Penny Bright to public input, and we are very clear, Ms. Bright, and I know that you will not do this for one moment. It's strictly 5 minutes and absolutely no electioneering, and you're well across that issue.
I would say it is.
Thanks, Penny. No, it's fine.
Thank you. And I'd just like to record for the public record, this is the 27th time that I have actually addressed governing body meetings since the Super City was forced upon us on the 1st of November 2010. My first point is that I have had a request from the clerk of the Local Government and Environment Select Committee stating that my petition has been referred to the Local Government and Environment Committee for consideration and requests, quote, that the House conduct an inquiry into the alleged conflict of interest regarding Auckland Council's membership of the New Zealand Property Council. The committee invites you to provide written information in support of your petition. We would appreciate this response by 5 p.m. on Thursday, the 8th of September 2016. And Parliament sits for a 3-week block starting the week that includes the 8th of September. So, the licking of slobbering chops over the unitary plan might be slightly premature. Because in my view this democracy for developers, which I believe the unitary plan is, this may actually cause a bit of discussion amongst the lawmakers. That's the first point. The second point is that I have, after a year, I have received a letter from the Office of the Ombudsman stating, I'm writing on behalf of Ombudsman Leo Donnelly. Thank you for your correspondence of the 8th of July 2015, which was over a year ago. I am sorry that workload pressures at this office have led to delays in progressing this matter. You have made a complaint about the decision of Auckland Transport on your request for official information for a detailed breakdown of how much public subsidy was received by all private passenger providers for buses, ferries and trains for each year since Auckland Transport was formed on the 1st of November 2010. Mr. Donnelly will be investigating your complaint. As a first step in the investigation process, I have written to the Chief Executive of Auckland Transport to notify him of your complaint. I have asked him to provide Mr. Donnelly with the relevant information at issue, together with a report on the decision on your request. We will keep you updated on the progress of the investigation. So that's quite a biggie, actually, because my understanding is there's hundreds of millions of public subsidy of private passenger providers of buses, trains and ferries, and the concept that the really more efficient private sector needs public subsidies if they are so efficient is quite beyond me, and I fail to understand why the public should subsidise that which we no longer own, operate or manage. The last point is that I was less than delighted to receive a letter from Auckland Council, the Senior Bylaw Inspector for Licensing and Compliance Services, on dated the 2nd of August, which stated displaying signs on a public place without permission of the Auckland Council, breach of Auckland Council bylaws. Auckland Council has received a complaint regarding the placement of illegal signage on public utilities at the intersection of 446 to 450 Manukau Road, Epsom. An inspection on 27 July 2016 found fly posters advertising a protest in Queen Street authorised by you attached to council utilities. This constitutes a breach of Auckland Council bylaws that prohibits displaying any signs on public land without permission of the council. Fly posting on public utilities is an illegal activity which damages property, contributes to littering, and also adds a significant burden to ratepayers and clean-up costs. And the bylaws that are quoted are Auckland Council Signage Bylaw 2015, 7(2) amenity, and Auckland Council Public Safety and Nuisance Bylaw 2013, section 6(2)(a). Our records confirm that no such permission has been granted for the placement of poster signs on public utilities at that location. Auckland Council requests that you cease placing signs on council utilities and request permission for any such activity in the future. We also wish to inform you that any further breaches regarding illegal placement of signage on public land can result in Auckland Council taking escalated enforcement action, which can result in seizure and possible fines not exceeding $20,000. I have 3 words to say to that. Go to hell. Because yes, again, it seems to be my job as the tradie to remind Auckland councillors and Auckland Council staff and possibly yet again Auckland Council in-house legal services that according to the Local Government Act, Section 1553, council bylaws must not be inconsistent with the Bill of Rights Act and the relevant Bill of Rights Act provision.
5 minutes, Penny, so
Okay.
just bring it together.
Well, I want an inquiry into this because as far as I'm concerned, this is a breach of the Crimes Act, Section 237, which is blackmail. Now, do I have to organise another meeting with Auckland District Commander Superintendent Richard Chambers? I want this sorted out. I want an apology. I want Auckland Council to get up to speed again with the law and regarding citizens' rights to freedom of expression, and I will not ever request permission to exercise my basic human right, and I will continue to poster. You want to take me to court? Fill your boots. Make my day. Thank you.
Thank you. That's
And I'll have
clear.
relevant information attached to the minutes. Thank you.
Signage is pretty big in all our lives at the moment. Councillor Casey.
Penny, what was the meeting about in Queen Street?
Oh, the meeting in Queen Street, this was called at very short notice when John Key on the 27th of July was basically hinting darkly about putting in commissioners for Auckland. And what happened was that I went straight round to Auckland Central Police Station on the following Monday and organised this protest. I take full personal responsibility, as usual, for everything that I do. I called it, I authorised it. I've got pictures of me putting up posters, and I take full responsibility for that. So here we have like a threat from the Prime Minister that if basically if Auckland doesn't do what Wellington wants, then there's a threat of commissioners. What attack on democracy is that? Yet I'm the one that's being threatened with a $20,000 fine. Hello. Yes.
That's clear.
Good point.
Penny, thank you.
Right.
I'm happy to move that we receive the presentation. Thank you, Councillor Casey. I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Penny. Right, our next item. So we move on to extraordinary business. Oh, sorry, local board input. There isn't any extraordinary business. There is none. Notice of motion. There are none. So we'll move straight into housing for older people, and then we will go to our panels. So who is going to present? David and team. Welcome. So I think you're just going to give a quick sort of update, and having workshopped this and had chances for lots of questions, I guess we'll just take any other outstanding questions and issues people have got and then move to the recommendation. Thanks, David.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd start perhaps by introducing Gary Smith, the Chief Executive of the Selwyn Foundation, who's come along today. I think he introduced himself to most councillors who were able to attend the workshop a couple of weeks ago where we went through all these issues at some length. Councillors, today is the culmination of what has been a lengthy process. I think, reflecting on it yesterday, it probably started close to the beginning of the term with a whole lot of analysis and workshopping. It's at a certain point, what was ACPL, now Panuku, came into the picture, and I suppose really the result of all that work was the adoption in June of last year of a set of 10 key principles by the council as a basis for going forward. Those 10 principles are in the paperwork you have, but I mean, if you pick out the critical points, they're around security of the current tenants, over time improve levels of service by a focused and experienced service provider, much better use of our sites, those that are more suitable, and to crystallise that, really an undertaking that over time we will be able to at least double the number of housing units on the sites, of which no less than 1,452 will be managed by the new joint venture, and hopefully over time more than that. Progressively replacing the dated stock on those sites with modern fit-for-purpose best practice units. Sharing the financial load with the government by accessing the new subsidy stream, which is critical to making this whole model work. And I guess a key underlying principle being that all revenues from this asset base are to be reinvested back into the portfolio in the units. As I reported at the workshop, Madam Chair, all 10 of those objectives have been secured in the documentation before you today for adoption. Subject to your approval, we will see the creation of a new long-term enduring partnership entity focused on this area of social housing, and that being the Selwyn Foundation, working of course with the council. We will access the new revenue that I referred to before, which means that effectively the council has been able to limit ratepayer input into the future, but critically has placed its entire social housing asset into this venture at no cost at all, and on the principle that there's to be no dividend or revenue back. It's all to go back into the improvement of the asset and the housing. And this set of decisions importantly will enable Panuku to work through with Selwyn over what will be a number of years, progressively redeveloping the sites. In terms of what happens after today, the council has in place a well-resourced and planned transition process which Mr. Bodman will be heading, and that's obviously going to be working very closely with Selwyn and the creation of the new joint venture entity. And it's the intention of Panuku to make an early start on a development site. So in summary, Madam Chair, these decisions open up, certainly as far as those of us that have been involved in this project all along, it's a platform really for huge opportunities into the future. There'll be benefits out of this that we can't even envisage at the moment because of the nature of the enduring vehicle we've created, the asset base that's effectively been put in the control of that, and obviously the needs that exist in Auckland. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Very good.
Right. Questions? Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. And I've no doubt there'll be a huge number of benefits once these sites are redeveloped and fit for purpose, and we get a whole lot of other benefits as well. My concern is around, I mean, we talk about putting money back into the portfolio, but I'm concerned about I visited one on the weekend where the drainage there is terrible, and I'm imagining today it'll be coming up over somebody's step again. Are we going to be able to have that ability? I mean, in the next 5 years, some of these people, respectfully may not be with us, but they are living now in some of our sites that are subpar. I'd hope it was feasible to put some of that money back into running repairs around those villages, because it's unrealistic to expect those people to live in some conditions that are suboptimal. I'm not saying that not all bad, but sometimes it's just individual sites that have problems and they've been promised to do stuff, and we apparently don't have the money, so we don't do it. But people have to live day to day in some of those conditions, and I'm hoping that we're not just going to use all the money for the redevelopment, but if it's 5 years out before that site gets done, it needs to be maintained properly, and some of those conditions that make life a little bit uncomfortable in certain weather conditions maybe are not addressed because, oh no, we're doing something down there and we don't need to do it. So is that money going to go back into that? Because I think we really need to make sure we maintain the current asset at least to livable standard in some places.